Amy from So Simple of Lynchburg, home of amyquilts.com. And I'm glad that you are going to join us, hopefully. So I am a Janome dealer, a free motion quilting instructor, machine educator, and dealer for Janome. And we're going to do some playing with this little project. This was from last week. We did some thread play, some tension adjustment on the back. I'll put that to the side, and we've actually got our piece. Got to figure out how to do the scheduling of going live so I can do all this stuff ahead of time. Every time I think I've left myself enough time, I have not. So here's my piece. This is something that I started doing in a live video. Hey, Sue. Hey, Maya. And finally got it tweaked a little bit. It has some wonkiness, some craziness, but you know, when you do fusible applique on the fly in a video that's live, you know, it is what it is. So I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's very freeing to do something like that. No rules, just get it done. So I actually am not going to free motion right away in this video, or possibly at all, because we need to do a stitch down of my tablecloth here on my little project. And I am looking for my snap-on shank. There it is. Yeah, I love the option of all these different feet for my Janome. Sometimes what I really need is more space. So I was doing some ruler work on my Facebook video earlier today. So we're going to take that off. And we are going to put this on. So I'm sewing tonight on the Janome 15,000. This is the Quilt Maker version 3. And it is a combination sewing and embroidery machine. I mostly sew with it, but I do embroider too, which is a good thing because I run an online membership for people who are wanting to learn how to use their Janomes better. And I got to show them how to use the 15,000 for embroidery as well as for sewing. So I'm going to be doing a little blanket stitch on the edge of this woven fabric. So this is like a cross weave kind of fabric where the warp and weft are two different colors. And then it has this little built-in pattern. And coincidentally, my fingernails kind of match. And this is the thread that I could find that's the closest match to this color in my shop. Now keep in mind, I own a quilt shop. You would think I would have enough thread, but this is a really heavy cotton thread and I don't really want that to show. So we are going to use this glide thread, and it's a wonderful color, but it's just a little bit off. But when you're trying to figure out what colors to use, a lot of times if you just take the single thread and lay it out on your project, you'll really see whether or not it's going to work a lot better than just comparing the cone or spool to the fabric. So let's get you guys in a little closer, but I'm going to move you away a little bit. Here, you can look at some of this flower here. I've got to thread my machine, and I like to make sure that the camera is not in my way while I thread. Because if you don't get your machine threaded just right, you're going to have all kinds of trouble. There we go. So it is ready to do the needle threader. Now my needle's threaded. Love my needle threader. I see my pin's trying to come out back here. Put that down. And I'm going to unlock my machine, get moved into position, and let me bring you over to the screen on my machine so that you can see the applique stitches that I'm going to choose and adjust. There we go. Sorry for all the jiggliness. You can see I'm still in ruler work mode. Hi, Wendy. I'm glad you're enjoying this. Thank you for the comment. I appreciate it. So I'm still in ruler work mode, so we've got to come out of that. And I am not going to go into my applications menu and choose applique. I'm just going to go into my regular section for my stitches, and I'm going into my decorative stitches and then applique up here. So on this machine, we can go through the applications menu and it does some of the work of setting things up for us, or we can choose the stitch directly. And for applique, I like to choose it directly. So the first thing I want to do is choose my stitch. This is the first one. It is not the one I want. I want to use that one because we want this to be fairly small, and we are going to mirror image, and let's see, that should work. So a lot of times I use this applique stitch. This is like the what do you want to call it? The invisible machine applique stitch. I use it a lot of times with invisible thread, and it looks very much like hand applique when I'm done. And I want to turn on my pivot feature. And before I do anything, we're going to test this stitch. Down here, this fabric's going to get trimmed off in a little bit. So thank you for those of you watching. That looks good to me. Of course, you can't really see it. We'll get you a little closer view here in a minute. Let's cut that. Yeah, that'll work. It looks horrible on just this one layer of fabric because it needs a little bit more stabilization. But once we get over here on this fabric, we are good to go. Hi, Mary from Southern California. How are you? Thanks for watching and joining in. So if this is your first time watching, I'd love to hear from you and hear where you're from as well. This is fairly new for me to be doing these live videos on YouTube, but I've been doing a lot of them on Facebook, and I decided to try doing them here on YouTube. So right on the edge there, I want to be on the edge, not in the edge. And this thread's going to just kind of blend right into this fabric. When I stop, the needle will be down and my foot will come up so I can move it. Hey, Doreen, how are you? You're not too far away from me. Hi, Jan from New Zealand. Now you definitely are far away from me. My husband just hollered out 12 time zones away. So that must mean it's morning for you right now, because it is evening for me. And my machine has just taken the tiniest little stitch into that fabric. And it's just going to blend into that woven texture, which is why I wasn't too worried about having an oddball color. All right, and I'm going to hit my reverse button to tie off my stitches right there. Sue says she's sewing right along. Fabulous. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use my thread cutter button. And we're going to come back over here, and I'm going to put my foot down with my knee. We're going to hit the back to the beginning button so that it starts right at the beginning of that pattern. And I'm just using my knee lift to get it just right on that edge. And it's going to do a little auto lock right there at the edge. And then we're off and running. And I need to straighten this fabric out. There we go. And I want to integrate some of this thread color from the tablecloth that my vase is sitting on into the quilting or into the design of my bouquet. So I'm just thinking right now we're going to be done with this little bit of applique really quickly. So we just might do a few decorative stitches up in our bouquet with this instead of getting this sandwiched really quick and trying to do some free motion or just ending the video. What do you think? You guys want to see some more stitching? You know, we have all these decorative stitches on a lot of our machines, and people say, well, I never use them. Well, if you play with them, you will use them. Oh, I am missing my edge here. There we go. I should probably look through the camera screen. I could actually see better. No, I cannot. All right, and using the reverse button to tie off. If I use my auto lock button to tie off, the machine's going to keep stitching until the pattern is completely done. And so I use the reverse, and that ties it off right away. And now you can see that cross weave. We've got a good look at the two different colors in this fabric. So it's a nice turquoise and a navy, well, not quite a navy blue, but a darker blue together to make this beautiful fabric. So let's cut that. And I think I'll have to come back in here and redo that. That's probably going to bother me. And you know, that's when you know you need to fix it. If it's going to bother you, you should fix it. If it's not going to bother you, don't bother fixing it. That is my rule of thumb. The other thing is you want to put your project a little farther away from your face, you know, and we're sewing right close and we can see every little bobble and just go, oh, it's horrible. Well, if you spread your quilt out on a bed or you step away from it, you'll see that it's not bad. So I like the way that's turned out. It's a very discreet little applique. Now all the rest of this applique is fusible raw edge. I have not decided how I'm going to handle the vase yet. I may use some decorative stitches over it, but I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab a little bit of tearaway stabilizer, and I have background, it's just the background fabric, so it's a little floppy, and I'm actually going to stitch some little stitches in here, and I'm just winging it again. We'll have fun. Okay, well, maybe not, because I don't see any of my stabilizer handy. All right, well, we've gone for 15 minutes. I need to plan out my next video a little bit better. So we'll do that. But in the meantime, there's a little peek at what I'm working on. Let's lay that out a little bit better. I know it's sideways, but I think it's turning out pretty well. So I will try to be more organized next time, and we'll do some more stitching in the back. We'll get it layered and start doing some fun free motion, which I certainly had a lot of fun 2 weeks ago working on this and playing with my thread. We discovered some threads just looked horrible on this blue and some threads looked wonderful on it. And that allows me to kind of decide what I'm going to do on the quilt. So thanks for watching. Oh yeah, I can't wait to do this color thread. It's going to be amazing. Thanks for watching. I will see you next week in the next video. Bye-bye.